Hello again. Well, as you'll have noticed, it's been quite a few weeks since I released a project, and it's basically down to the cold wet winters here in the UK, and being in a cold workshop. Even now, February, and the workshop today's only just 2 or 3 degrees above freezing. With my arthritis, that's just too cold and miserable for me to be out here. Hopefully next year I'll be in a slightly warmer workshop and be able to continue straight through the winter, so fingers crossed, we'll see how we go there. Well, whilst I've been away, I seem to have gained a lot of new subscribers, and a big welcome to all of you, and thank you to everybody else for staying with me. I've got lots of projects planned for the next few weeks, really kickstart 2015 for me and bring you some new projects. Today I want to just show you how I've been making some laminated stock for a number of projects, and these projects that you'll see over the next couple of weeks. This is laminated using beech and American dark birch. We call it American dark birch over here in the UK. I don't know what it is in the States, whether it is just dark birch. A lot of the names seem to get mistranslated or confused, but it's a darker wood and a lighter beech. And you can see the laminations diagonal, with end grain at the top here primarily. So this is for end grain projects, and you'll see what those are over the next couple of weeks. So thanks again for coming back and watching my videos, and come and watch me make this lamination. Thanks for watching. The 2 pieces of stock I'm using, which is a piece of beech and a piece of dark birch, are of different sizes. 2 different pieces of stock. So the first thing I'm going to do is run them through the bandsaw and reduce the size. Obviously the beech is the smallest, so I'm going to reduce to that size. I've already set the blade up to match the width of the beech. I'll just find the squarest edge of this piece. It's not perfect. I'll do, and I'll run that through. Looks like I can just lower the guides a little bit, keep it straighter. Let's try that. Here we go again. And those 2 are now a great match, as you can see there. Before I started preparing to cut these down, I spent a bit of time setting up the bandsaw. I'm going to be cutting very thin veneers, and I need this to be extremely straight. I've made lots of test cuts on the piece of beech. Every time just making sure that everything is perfect, or as near, never be perfect, as near to straight as I can get it. I've looked at various different tuning methods and applied them all to the machine as I can. The blade I'm using is a 16 TPI, teeth per inch blade, made for cutting veneers or something similar for very fine cuts. I've tried this using a 4 TPI blade as well, And to be honest, I got reasonable results, but obviously the cut wasn't as fine. Now I want to cut the veneers across these at an angle. I could go for straight layers, but I want the layers to be on an angle. It'll give more of an effect. You'll see that in the finished piece. In order to do that, I want an angle of approximately 30 degrees, and I've cut just a little template piece. This corner here is at 30 degrees, and I can use that on the surface there, so as we go through it keeps the wood at that angle. I've been making a couple of test cuts and a few things have become apparent. I was originally trying to cut both pieces at once so that I got even slices on both, but it wasn't working. What I'm finding is that the pieces, the slices I'm taking are so thin that they're actually falling down the gap in my cutting board and getting caught up behind the blade. Doing two at once was causing a problem with that. Doing one at once, I can pull it out of the back of the blade and keep on going, so I'm just going to have to do one piece at once. It's experimental, it's the first time I've done it, so we learn as we go. The other thing I've done now is, after making a number of test cuts to try and establish what thickness of veneer I wanted, I've put a stop block on the back here so that I can take each piece, run it up against the block, and know that I'm getting an even slice every time. I've noticed that the template I'm using is starting to slide around just now, and my last piece was uneven. So I'm just going to use a bit of double-sided tape on here and see if that will just hold this down on the board. Let's get this back into the position I want it. Slide the template in and try again. Now we'll go on and cut the birch, similar slices. There we go, at the end of this now. We've got two piles of birch and beech. Next I need to go to the gluing stage. I've got a nice finish on either side from this particular blade. It does give a lovely finish. No need to sand in between, I can go straight to gluing. Okay, time to do some gluing up. I've tried to be as prepared as possible. I've got lots of clamps. My sections are all ready. I've got glue, I've got a damp rag, everything that I hope I need in order to proceed. I'm going to do this in small groups. I'll just make up probably 6 pieces, clamp them together, make up some more, and then once those have all set up, I'll glue those back together into full length later. Here you go, I'll start with beech. And then onto that piece of the birch. Because I wanted that diagonal 30-degree offset, and being careful to align the edges so they're flat, it would be tempted just to make it as a square block, but then I'd lose the angle I'm trying to achieve. So every one I just need to work it straight. Immediately these are starting to bend on me, which isn't good, but within a few minutes they'll be clamped. With them being so thin, as they're soaking the glue up, they're just bending. You might have noticed that I'm working on the bandsaw table for this glue up. It's not just a point of convenience for me. My workshop is so small, I don't currently have room for a workbench. So the top of the bandsaw gets used for all sorts of things, as does the top of the lathe. I often put a board on the lathe and work on top of there. I've been asked by a number of people to do a quick little video show of the workshop, and I'll get that out this week as well if I can. It won't be as exciting as some of the ones you'll see, but it shows my little space and how I work. There's a reason that the workshop's so small. It's because I have a garage, single garage that is destined to be the workshop, but that has another long-term project in it which I might show you this week as well. Once that's out of the way, I'll be able to probably triple, well certainly double the amount of space I have, and put a workbench in there, which will be very useful. As a result of the gluing process, a number of these blocks have warped slightly. There's a slight bend in them. It's very slight. When I put two together, I can see it there. So I'm just going to touch them up on the sander, and just lightly. I don't want to distort them any more than I have to. Just lightly, just to take that out. I was asked recently by a viewer about the sanding disc I use, and I just have a block of MDF that I turn to a circle on here on the lathe, and that's just held on with a faceplate. There's a faceplate on the back of it, and I run this at 500 RPM. Don't want to stress the sandpaper. Easiest way, nice and simple. Anybody who has a lathe can then have a disc sander, and then periodically I give it a clean down with one of these crate rubber blocks. The inexpensive method of making your sandpaper last longer. Just needs that light touch. It's just either taking off the ends or the centre, depending on where the bend is. Okay, back to gluing again. I'm now going to take the blocks and glue them into 2 stacks, and then finally, once that glue's set up, I'll make them into 1. They're quite hard to clamp, so I'm going to use elastic bands and straighten them up as I go. So I'll quickly do these. Now that they're in quite robust sets, I don't expect any problems with bending as I did yesterday. One thing I am taking care of is that I've got the laminations the right way round. They're all alternate colours. And then I'm using a straight edge just to keep the alignment, and an elastic band Well, that's just slipped already, so I'll put it back. The elastic bands are pulling it out of alignment. Not what I wanted. That's near enough. I'll check it again in a minute. I'm just gluing the last two pieces together now to make it into one large block. I've had a little play around with clamping, and it's difficult to clamp these two with them being on a 30-degree angle. They want to slide apart all the time, but I found a method that should work for these two pieces, so we'll give it a go. There's just one more to glue up. Those two together. Tighten up in the clamp. And then take another clamp and go around the centre. Provided it hasn't moved, that can now sit and glue up. Well, the blocks all glued together in one now. The next stage was going to be to cut a square section out of here on the bandsaw, but what I've discovered is after that last glue up, I've inherited some twist in the section, and I don't now have a flat enough edge to get a nice square cut. So I'm going to use the belt sander and just flatten one side off. You might want to put your earplugs in for this bit. As you no doubt saw, I actually did one of the side and a back at the same time. It worked so well, I thought I'd just keep going and hopefully get somewhere near a square section, square edge. Looks good. Should be okay with that, and now we can put it through the bandsaw. There we go. You'll have to wait now to see what to do with it.